I'll tell you, I don't think I have the nerve to do this. I really don't. Apparently, not only will a Tesla drive on the highway in autopilot mode while you're sleeping, but it now has a really neat party trick where it accelerates to try to get away from the police. What? Yes, this happened in Canada. Police say that two people in the car were completely reclined. Think about this. You're in the car, completely reclined. They were sleeping while the car was driving down the highway. Okay, how fast do you think the car was going before the cops were trying to figure out how to get somebody awake in the car? I'll tell you, 95 miles per hour. Okay, then the car started increasing in speed when the police were trying to wake up the drivers. Well, they ended up waking up the drivers. They got a couple of fines. But did you know that Tesla has started producing an anti-coronavirus device? Yes, do you know this? It's called the Elon Mask. Oh, sometimes I just crack myself up. And you see, ladies and gentlemen of all ages, just an example of all the fun that we have here week after week as we talk about living the best digital life ever. You can find the Kim Komando Show on 400 top stations from coast to coast and around the globe on American Forces Network Radio. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. All right, it's time now for 5 things that you need to know. And I scour the tech news every day for our website, our social media feeds. We also have a daily tech update that you can hear on this radio station, or you can get as a podcast 7 days a week. Our breaking news free alerts, and also for here on the 3-hour radio show. And let's start with sextortion. Yes, it usually involves a scammer sending a scary email saying that they have a video of you on your own webcam watching porn and to pay up or else it's going to get shared. Now there's a new twist that the FBI just issued a warning about, and it's much scarier, especially if you're the parent of a teenager. An adult reaches out to a teen on social media and eventually tries to convince them, whether through deception, promises of gifts, or just threats, to produce sexually explicit photos or videos. Okay, this is something you need to warn your kids about. In North Carolina, a male college student using a dating app started chatting with someone who sent him a picture of a naked girl. Then the teenager got a phone call from a man claiming to be the girl's father, saying that the girl was underage and threatened to press charges and sue. The teenager believed the scammer and panicked and got the family involved, and the scammer started to make a request for money, of course. And that's why it's so important that everyone, young and old, you take a hard look at all your social media accounts and you say, what can somebody really find out about me online? And coming up in this week's DLH, our digital life hack, we're going to tell you how you can really Google yourself the right way, the strong way, so that this way you can see what's truly online about you. All right, number 2, Amazon has 2020 vision. What a year, right? No matter how bad things have gotten in 2020, Amazon just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And listen to this. In addition to all the warehouses that they already have around the country, Amazon plans to open about 1,000 new smaller ones in various cities and suburbs. The plan is to streamline its fast shipping even further. So they're going to be offering kind of standard stuff, same day, maybe one day, or even the same hour delivery on more items in more places. And of course, Amazon makes this announcement as Walmart Plus is totally rolling out. But Amazon is also on another hiring spree. This time they're looking for 100,000 part-time and full-time workers. The main focus is warehouse and delivery jobs in the U.S. and Canada. They start at $15 an hour, but if you sign up, you may qualify for a $1,000 signing bonus. We've got a lot of the details over at Komando.com. And I was wondering if there's any part-time work for me, say, cleaning mirrors. I mean, that's something I could see myself doing. Oh. Okay, that wasn't as good as the Elon Mask, trust me. All right, number 3, when it comes to 80s music, you never ran so far away. Long before MP3s, CDs, cassettes, and yes, do you remember, kids, the 8-track tapes, there was vinyl, king for over 5 decades before the CD sales in the 80s just took over. Well, for the past 15 years, vinyl records have been making a quiet comeback. And now it's back on top. It's overtaken CDs again. That's according to the Recording Association of America. CD sales in the first half of 2020 are at $129.9 million. Vinyl sales during the same period, $232.1 million. So that's more than $100 million difference. So why this year, do you say? Well, concerts have been canceled. People are home more. And maybe you've been using those old CDs as ways to keep the birds away outside. And if you're wondering what album is currently topping the charts, what's the number one album that's almost as old as some of these vintage record players? What do you think the number one album is? You're wrong. I couldn't guess this one either. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors, first released in 1977. And people are usually shocked when I tell them, when I say, you know what, I have a police record. And well, it's the greatest hits, of course. Number 4, looks can be deceiving. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection recently announced seizure of thousands of counterfeit goods entering the country, which is kind of a good thing, right? We want them to seize the counterfeit materials. Well, this happened at New York's JFK Airport. They seized 2,000 boxes of quote-unquote counterfeit Apple AirPods worth about $400,000. Okay, so we should be giving them a gold star, right? Okay, well, hang on. These earbuds, they could have a little bit more originality in mind, so to speak, but they're not actually AirPod knockoffs. They are from one company called OnePlus, and they're their own custom earpods. And right there on the box, it says OnePlus Buds. No attempts to look like the real thing. No Apple misspellings. No subtle changes like AirPods or anything like that. They're actually sold on Amazon and Walmart. So you might think that once this news went viral, that the Customs and Border Patrol, they might say something like, whoopsies, honest mistake, anybody can do it. Well, then they doubled down. They say that the earbuds appear to have violated Apple's trademark and that OnePlus will have the opportunity to provide evidence otherwise. Okay, now start thinking about this. There are other iPhones aside from Apple's. There are a lot of Androids, and all phones pretty much have the same kind of size, don't they? Better watch out. All right, number 5, I have been called a comic book character, yes, the Punisher. But in the new normal of business, conversations happening over video call, there really hasn't been a good way to interject just like one word, right? So a Netflix engineer, guy by the name of Cameron Hunter, he created an add-on to convey messages on screen without saying a word. It's just like something that you would see in a comic book, like with all the the circle and like the exclamation points, and it says like pow or yes or no. And so what it works with is your gesture. So waving will prompt a box that says hello. Thumbs up shows a yes. A fist means no. It's compatible with Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, and has to be used with the Snap Camera app, which you also need to install. We've got all the details over at Komando.com as this add-on for your video calls. There's even a pop-up box that comes up if the camera sees you laughing. I was on a video call the other day when someone told a really bad joke, and it wasn't even remotely funny. All right, coming up, as I mentioned, we have our digital life hack this hour, and this is really something that if you haven't done it for a while, that you should really Google yourself. Now, there's a right way and there's a wrong way to Google yourself. Of course, we're going to tell you the best way to Google yourself, and we have all of your fantastic phone calls here on this coast-to-coast broadcast of the Kim Komando Show. And let's start this hour with Heidi in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello there, Heidi.
Hello, thank you so much for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I love listening to your show.
What's going on?
I have a 9-year-old who loves to draw, loves to make animations.
Awesome.
She currently uses her phone to use animations, but I was wanting to get her some sort of drawing tablet that I could hook up to my computer. I didn't know what kind of software she would be able to use. I looked at the Wacom brand tablet, but...
Well, and you know what? I'm glad that you did some homework because, Wacom is just like to tablets like Google is to search, really, truly. I mean, it's that much of a brand that's so well known as the tablet of choice. But you also mentioned something really intuitive, is that when you start looking at tablets, sometimes the software costs a lot more than the tablet, right?
Yes.
Especially if you start looking at using Photoshop or Creative Cloud or anything like that. And you said she's 9. What grade is she in?
4th grade.
Awesome. Okay. And is she home? Are you homeschooling her?
She's currently doing virtual learning.
And how's that going?
It could be better, but it's going fine.
It's really hard, isn't it? It's tough.
Yes, it is.
I mean, today before I came to the studio, I dropped in on my son who's attending USC virtually. And,
oh, wow.
And so I was right because, you're still paying like $30,000 a semester, which is like crazy. But anyway,
That is crazy.
it is. And I'm sitting there. I'm not one to complain, but if he's sitting in his bedroom, I think I should get a discount. But anyway,
Right.
as I open the door and he's sitting on his bed and the laptop is turned away and he's petting the dog, and I'm like, how's class going for you? So anyway, well, keep patience, and this drawing tablet's going to help her out because this would be a nice, you know what I mean? Something for her to do.
Yes.
But you do want to look at the Wacom. And the one that I want you to look at, it's the Intuos. It's Intuos. Okay.
Okay.
And the reason why is it's not overly expensive, because at 9-10 years old, what they like this week, they might not like in 3 months, right? So we don't want to go crazy on this. But it's $80. But the reason why I like this one is it includes Corel Painter Essentials, which is something she can use for drawing and painting. And then also it includes a photo editor, and also by Corel. And the drawing area it's pretty good. It's 6 by 3.7 inches. And so you can hook that up to your Mac or Windows PC, and then she'll be able to use it. And then if she wants any animation software, there's tons and tons and tons. I'm sure she knows, and that there's just a ton of it that's free online.
Okay.
And so they got names like Pencil 2D or just Pencil or Open Tunes. But it's really cool that you're moving forward with this, because I bet you she'll really dig it, especially if she's been doing it on her phone. And now you're going to...
Yeah, she uses KindMaster on her phone
and that's
for animation.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It is. That's a great little program. But now you're going to take her skills and you're going to get her to the next level. And we'll post a link to this over on the message boards. That's what we've been doing, by the way, the question and answer message boards, because people are having trouble finding it on the air, on our website. Go to Kim's show, and then there's show picks, and then there's all this other stuff going on. So if at any time you hear me mention, I'm going to post a link to it. I'm going to start posting them in a new place, and that's in the Komando community. There's the Q&A forum. Now, you don't have to be a member to view any of the content over at the Q&A forum. So there's a special folder there that says show questions. And so at the end of every show, I do some research, or I go give you an exact link to the product that I think you really like. And if you're looking for those product links, again, it's going to be in the Komando community in the show questions area of the Q&A. But if you ever do want to become a member of the community and post your own questions, it's just a few bucks a month, and you get a 30-day free trial over at getkim.com. John in Oklahoma City. Hi there, John.
Well, hello, Kim. It's so good to get to talk to you today.
Well, thank you. What's going on?
Well, we have fiber in our home now, which is new to our area.
That's awesome. I would love fiber.
I know.
I would.
Yes. Yeah, it's great. Except I wasn't getting the speed that they had advertised.
Oh.
So I started researching this, and I actually my fiber is through my phone company, my local cooperative. They came out kind enough to tell me, John, it's not our equipment, it's your old router. And so I started looking at it, and it appears that they're right.
Okay.
So I should be getting 135 megabytes per second.
That's awesome. Wow.
And I'm getting 40.
Oh.
So.
Wow. That's a big drop.
What is the best router for me to consider today? You hear about mesh routers and dual band routers and quad band routers and all these different things.
Well,
I don't know about this stuff.
Can I ask you one question? How much are you paying a month?
I am paying $85, and that is for our phone and internet.
Okay, well that's not bad. And how big's your house?
It's about 4,000 feet.
Okay, and then just give me a rough number: 10, 15 gadgets.
Well, we have a couple of iPads and a couple of phones, a smart TV, so probably 10.
All right, so you got 10 things going on. Now, the big thing that you need is you want to get wireless in all places, okay?
Yes.
We have a sponsor, I tell you right off the top, sponsors Eero, E-E-R-O. When I was, this goes back over 2 years. When I was having trouble getting Wi-Fi in parts of my house, as a matter of fact, I just recently installed Wi-Fi in a house in California. The only thing I use is Eero. Okay. And I've been doing this since they were a sponsor, just to let you know. Okay. And with Eero, what you're going to get, it's a mesh network. And what that means is that if your phone is connected to the internet and you don't need to put all these repeaters anymore, because your devices will act as a repeater, so to speak. And so that's why the mesh network is preferred, especially in any home that's over 2,500 square feet. And so with Eero, you're going to get fast speed, reliable coverage. It actually goes up to, the package that I'm going to recommend for you actually goes up to 6,000 square feet. But you're going to get 3 Eero Pros. It's not cheap. It's $500. But you know what? It works. This is all you're going to need. And then you'll be good to go, and you'll have all the speeds and the connections that you need. I'll give you a link over on the message boards, and we'll email it to you directly. Stay right where you are. More of the show is coming up. A couple of things I want to pass along. First of all, if you have a Google Drive account, just want to let you know that it used to be that you can just keep everything in the trash, and definitely, well, coming soon in a couple of weeks, Google is going to be emptying the trash automatically for you every 30 days. So if you think you're being super smart and sneaky and you're hiding documents in the trash, which a lot of you do, I know that you do, so if somebody just looking doesn't look in the trash, just know that in a couple of weeks, every 30 days, into the intergalactic bit bucket it goes. And a few months ago, Ford officially announced the all-electric F-150 pickup truck was on the way. Well, this isn't the hybrid F-150 coming out next year. This is a fully electric model set to release in mid-2022. Not a lot of details, but they just announced this past week a $700 million investment into a Michigan manufacturing plant where it's going to be built. So dual electric motors that will not only bring it in line with existing gas-powered models, go well beyond faster acceleration, according to Ford, more horsepower and more torque than any F-150 before. This is why I wanted to bring it up. The truck can serve as a portable generator to power your various gadgets while you're camping, or say it's being used on some type of job site. That's a really neat party trick, isn't it? Tesla's upcoming Cybertruck has been touted as able to do the same. It's set to release just a few months earlier than just the all-electric F-150. All right, this past week, I watched a tech movie, and I have to tell you, I normally don't like to watch any movies that have to do with technology or even like any real documentaries, because quite often when I look at the movies, it's like, yeah, there's a hacker in a hoodie trying to hack a computer using the password. Like, that's really innovative. Or maybe it's something like The Social Network that glorifies Mark Zuckerberg, and we all know that's not the truth. Well, what about something called The Social Dilemma? It's really big on Netflix right now. And we were kind of thumbing through Netflix, and I said, I wonder what it's about. Thinking, I'll just give it like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of my time before I just say, you know what? This is the biggest pile of garbage that I've ever heard in a long time. Well, after 5 minutes, after 10 minutes, after 30 minutes in, and Barry and I were watching it and finding ourselves pausing the movie and talking about, wow, that's some really big stuff right there. So this past week, we got a hold of the PR folks over at Netflix, and they were kind enough to set up a time for me to speak with Jeff Orlowski. He's the director of this, I guess they'd call it not really a film or a movie. It's really a docudrama, and it's free on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. Now, this past week, as I mentioned, I had a chance to speak with Jeff, and I want to just give you just a snippet of the conversation right here, right now, and then let you know that there's almost a 40-minute plus conversation that you can listen to outside. But hey, Mike, why don't we just take a listen right now? So the tracking, I don't think a lot of people realize, and I'm sure you know this, is that when you are signed into Facebook, okay, and you just leave it signed in, and you go about your business, and you start doing your email, and you're having Zoom calls, or whatever it may be, is that the tracking now continues because you left Facebook open. When you were putting this film together, did you come across any number? Because I'll tell you the number that I saw, but I'm just curious about what number you saw. How many different data points do you think a company like Facebook has on an individual?
Yeah, I forget the exact numbers. I think I heard something like 26,000 data points per person. I'm not sure if you had a number that you'd seen. I'm not positive on that one.
Yeah, the number that I saw, which isn't far off when you think about it, I think it was like 29,000, so which is basically in the same ballpark. But I didn't, when I saw that number the first time, I was thinking, I didn't know that I had 29,000 data points on myself, right? I mean, it's
Right.
like...
So any website that has a Facebook like button on it, so I'm not saying not that you've clicked on it, but if there is a Facebook like button on the website that is available for you to click, is being tracked and fed back to Facebook as a data point around, oh, so-and-so visited this website. Maybe they're interested in this. And it's being added to your digital profile, your digital model. And that's what's being used to target you and to create this sort of reverse engineered model of who you are or who your digital self is. In the film, we have this narrative storyline that unfolds. And one of the big things that we try to bring to life with that is this concept of a digital avatar for each and every person on the planet, that they have collected and created a model of us that they're also testing on a regular basis, that they are actually actively testing to see, will this work on you? Will that work on you? Maybe this will work. Maybe, oh, you expressed interest in this. Maybe this other content is similar. And at the same time, they're testing you in comparison to other people that are similar. So, because you liked this particular thing, there are 38,012, people who liked that thing as well. Maybe you'll like this other thing that those other people liked, and maybe we can get you to buy this other thing. This is why, a lot of people say, oh, Facebook's listening with their microphone. They're not actually listening with their microphone. The truth is actually scarier in that they have built a model of you that is so accurate that they know the things that you're going to be thinking about and talking about. And they can show you things that they have a high predictability that you're going to engage with. That's frightening to me. Like, that's a mind-boggling. They have created this parallel universe where they have these digital puppets of all of us, and they're testing against all of us. And once again, this entire infrastructure is not built to make society function better. It's not built to increase civil discourse. It's not built for our needs as human beings. It's built around a business model. It's built around, how do we leverage this information to be able to sell you more stuff, or to get you to spend more time, or to get another advertisement in front of you? And it could be selling you a physical product, actually, or it could be an idea. And this is where we've really seen these platforms that were designed with good intent, but have been manipulated by malicious actors. We have a line in the film. Roger McNamee says, he basically says Russia didn't hack Facebook, they just used it. And we're seeing that exact game plan repeated now in our upcoming election.
And see, that's just a snippet of a 40-minute conversation. If you want to hear the whole thing, and I really would encourage you to do so, make sure that you get our podcast. And our podcast is under Tech You Should Know. That's the title of the podcast. Of course, it's Kim Komando. So if you search for Komando, Komando, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, you name it, it'll pop up. This is one of those podcasts that you're going to listen to, and it kind of goes behind the scenes of the movie. And because in this film, he has people like the president of Pinterest to come out and say, here's why we do this. Here's why this button is there. Somebody from Google, the aesthetics design person and an ethics person who's supposed to make sure that you are staying as long as possible. So if you're doom scrolling, what else can we put right there so that you just keep scrolling again, or you scroll again and scroll again? It's just a fascinating conversation. I think it's one of our best podcasts that we've done in a really long time. So wherever you get your podcasts, just make sure that you get it this weekend. Tech You Should Know, Kim Komando, and you can search for either one. And then if you like it, and I'm sure you will, and I'm sure you're going to be shocked by some of the things that you hear in this podcast about social media, I want you to share it on your social media feed, so that this way more people are aware of what's really going on and how they're getting their news and why news is being curated and why they are seeing certain things. And it's not just certain products. It's really, really quite fascinating. All right, it's time now for our digital life hack. And every week we put one of those together for you. And this week it's brought to you by Identity Guard. The world may have seemed to have stopped, but the scammers have not. Did you know that Google tries to block millions of emails every day as criminals try to steal money and personal info? Our very own Mike James had his identity stolen. It nearly cost him a house, and he spent 6 years removing fraudulent information from his credit score. This is why you absolutely need Identity Guard. With Identity Guard, you get comprehensive threat monitoring and some of the fastest alerts in the industry. And if something were to happen, their U.S.-based customer care team, they'll be with you every step of the way to help resolve the situation. So many of my listeners are switching to Identity Guard, and you should too. And let me tell you, their rates are super affordable, especially their family plans. I trust Identity Guard to protect my family, and you should too. And right now, my listeners can get plans starting at under $7 by going to identityguard.com/Kim. That's identityguard.com/Kim. Do it now while you're thinking about it. identityguard.com/Kim. All right, everybody has done at least one Google search on their name, but maybe you didn't do it the right way. Maybe you haven't done it in a long time. And so what I'd like you to do, because scams are on the increase like crazy and social engineering is becoming more prevalent, is I want you to really, truly know what's online about you. And then later on in the show, we're going to tell you how you can remove what's online about you, whether it's your house on Google Maps, or whether it's a reference of you at some particular website that you would rather not have there. So let's start with actually finding everything that's online. Your first step is to Google your name, but I want you to put your name in quotes. And so, like, for example, sometimes if you look up me, I know I can't believe it myself, is that Kim Kardashian will pop up ahead of me. How did that happen? Well, it's all in the butt, right? Anyway, start using exact phrases to weed out results. Number two is I want you to look at some pictures. And if you go to Google image search, you can see various pictures of yourself. And if an image has no text on it or any identifying information, if you click on that, you'll normally end up over at the website. Next, I want you to run a search for your past and current email addresses and all your phone numbers, because this way, if you ever signed up for a discussion board or forum, you might have some comments that are popping up. And also run a search on your social media account names, and so that this way you see, again, exactly what's out there. Now, to keep track moving forward, you can also search for, you can set up Google Alerts. So anytime your name is mentioned, you're going to get an automatic notification from Google. It's actually quite handy. And so we have links to all of this and how you can set up those Google Alerts, as well as some other sample, I guess you say, search phrases that I would like you to use when you're Googling yourself over at Komando.com. So just go to Komando.com. And on the right-hand side, there's a link that says Kim Show, and you'll find the link to everything you need right there. All right, still to come this hour, there's a payment app scam that's spreading like wildfire. I'm going to tell you all about it. We'll take more of your phone calls here on the Kim Komando Show. Just a quick reminder, if your listening to the show gets interrupted for whatever the reason, you can always get the whole show over at getkim.com. You can get the podcast, the webcast, as well. You have full access to the question and answer message board. So if you have any techie type questions and you're looking for an answer you can trust, you can always drop it over there. Again, that's at getkim.com. Steve in Lafayette, Indiana. And you know what, Steve? You know what's interesting about Lafayette, Indiana?
What's that?
Is that my niece lives in Lafayette, Indiana.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she went to Purdue. And she has her not CNA. She's a nurse practitioner. She went to.
Oh, okay.
So she's so it's like big Purdue land over there for her and her family. Yay!
Yeah. Well, what I'm calling you about is I'm looking for a device that I can download a podcast on.
Okay.
And I don't want to use my phone because I'm at work. I want to use something separate.
Okay, that's not a problem. And what kind of podcast do you listen to? And let me give you a hint. One of them should be Kim Komando just saying.
Okay, yes. And, like history and some true crime and some life coaches and stuff like that.
Okay, well, there's the good news is that you don't need you don't need to spend a lot of money for anything.
Okay.
It's I'm sure you're familiar with an MP3 player, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
Okay, so that's really what we're going to get. Hey, Mike, just curious, an hour-long podcast, an audio podcast, if it's, what is it? Is it like 25 megs right now? If it's what is that encoded at?
Yeah, it's about 30 megs, and you can go 64K.
And that's obviously mono?
Mono 44.1, yes.
Okay. And then what if you wanted to go stereo?
That would double it.
Just double it?
Yep.
That's it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So those are your numbers that you're looking at per podcast. All right.
Okay.
So say 30 megs for an hour, and 60 megs for stereo, which most podcasts are done in mono because you don't really need that full fidelity because you're just dealing with audio voices, and so just with the voice track you don't need anything. So when you start looking at these things, the other thing that's kind of handy is that they will sync up with your podcast player. And so so even though obviously the MP3 player is going to be offline, what you're going to do is plug it into your computer and whatever podcast player that you're doing, it'll sync up and download those files directly on. Okay. So the big thing sounds like with you is that we want to make sure that the battery's going to last for longer than 2 or 3 hours, right? So while you're on a shift, which if you look at a couple of names, there's one called SanDisk. I don't know if you remember SanDisk. They've been around forever, and they make something called the Clip Jam, and it has 18 hours of playback, and it's only $30. But let me tell you something. That's the cheap one. If you want to spend a little bit more, you get the one that's $60 from SanDisk, and you get an LED screen so you can see exactly what's going on, which is really handy. Okay. And then you also get an FM radio. So if for some reason you run out of stuff to listen to on your podcast, then that would be something that you might want to take advantage of. Now, there's a big hot seller on Amazon that is a name that I don't recognize. It's like MIBOA, MyBoa or something like that. And, it's $40. And, a lot of people are saying like this was better than any type of SanDisk. But when you look at it, it doesn't sound like it's a big difference. But the SanDisk that I recommended is about a half an ounce. This one is like 5 ounces. And again, something's not a big difference, but you want to keep that in mind. But I think you get a better value overall. The sound quality on the SanDisk is going to be better. So that's why I'm recommending that one. Thank you so much for your call. And thanks now for being a subscriber to the Kim Komando Show podcast, because I was getting the feeling that was not on your list the way that you were talking about it. All right, stay right where you are. We're talking about a Cash App scam that's spreading like crazy here on the Kim Komando Show. Okay, listen to this story. This gal in Houston, she's using the peer-to-peer service called Cash App. And so she was receiving, she said, money from odd jobs like, pet sitting and babysitting. Anyway, so all of a sudden she looks on her app and she gets a payment that's not hers. So she Googles the phone number to say, hi, I got this payment, it's not mine, goes to somebody else. And then she got a scam phone number, and then they said, we need to install the Team Viewer app on your phone, and so that this way we can see exactly where the money is. And in just a split second, they wiped out $6,000 in her account. Boom, just like that. So the bottom line here is that if you're using Cash App, Zelle, anything else, PayPal, don't Google the phone number. Be super careful. And your always best bet is to do this by email, by going to their website and filling out a support ticket. Hey, stay right where you are. We have another jam-packed, fun-filled hour. We have much more of your phone calls you don't want to miss here on the West Star Multimedia Network. Hey, thanks for watching a past episode of my national radio show. That's why it's called The Kim Komando Show Rewind. Now, to get the entire show, all 3 hours, when it airs live, or you can get on demand, head over to getkim.com and you can become a member of the Komando community. There are a ton of perks. Aside from just the show, you get free ebooks, a place to get answers to your tech questions, and more of me. So come on, what are you waiting for? Click that link right now and become a member. And thank you.